And thank you, Madam Chair. This is reassigning a grant that was passed in 2015 to Isuroon. And the idea was they were going to work with a community, with an FQHC, and work out some ways to work with women's health. It, beyond having an unbelievably long time to get the RFP out for almost a sole source provider, it ran afoul of logistical issues with the FQHC, and given it's $100,000. You can't work harder for $100,000, and the people did trying to make this work, and the department tried, and so they suggested let's just reallocate the money and to a group, and it turns out that Isuroon is working with Dakota County on an autism project. And so on page 3 of the amendment, it takes 12 pages to change like one section, Madam Chair, so that's also entertaining. So on behalf of the trees, I apologize. But anyway, so it strikes all the language virtually except it strikes all of page 4 and just talks about giving the $100,000 to Dakota County to partner with a community-based organization with expertise in serving Somali children with autism. And so they could pick someone else, but they may well pick Isuroon. And they're doing that right now, and so I think this is a really good way to invest that kind of money, as the issue of Somali autism is huge, and they're ready to do this, and it's shovel-ready, as it were. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Abeler. Question, Senator Hayden.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator Abeler. It's funny, on 5.18, I see my menthol cigarette provision that I just talked to you about last year. But anyways, that's apropos. But my question is, what was going to be the use for the grant when it got appropriated before and somehow couldn't get through the procurement process?
It was
Senator Abeler.
That's right, Madam Chair. Senator Hayden, that's on page 4. It's all the deleted language. And so that project has been all but abandoned just because they couldn't come up with this partnership. And it was a really worthy project. And the reason that we're doing it so simply as this, as a straight grant without an RFP process, is that this has to get done by the end of June. Right. And if we can get this signed in law at the usual time, the Department of Health may be able to write this check. But to be any RFP process or lengthy thing would just, and this is money that expires at the end of 2017.
Right.
Senator Hayden.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and Senator Abeler. I do appreciate what you're trying to do. This hasn't been the first time that this organization has had trouble being able to procure dollars from the state. So my concern, frankly, and this may draw me some blowback in the community, but my concern is that if we're appropriating money to organizations that have a dickens of a time, not just this past bill that you're changing, but even before, being able to procure money for them based on their organizational capacity. The last time that we did this bill, it looks like it was for women's reproductive health and other issues, but now we're changing the focus to autism. One, I have questions about the capacity of the organization. Two, I want to understand the mission of the organization, and how do we know that they're the right group of people to be able to deal with this issue of autism in the Somali community?
Senator Abeler.
Thank you, and those are fair questions. Just to the original grant, the shortcoming of how it worked out had nothing to do with the grantee, the targeted grantee, which was Isuroon. It had all to do with developing a relationship with an FQHC, and the one they selected had a surprising number of issues on their own. And so there were only a couple that were interested. 2 FQHCs applied to be the host organization. The interest at the time was actually not so different than yours, was not to give this grant directly to this particular group, but to give it to a more large umbrella group, in this case an FQHC, which has its own standing. In this particular version, the grant goes to Dakota County to work with an unnamed community-based organization with expertise. And so they'll have to go and persuade Dakota that they're the best one, but Dakota County will be the one focusing on the need of their particular Somali children with autism. And if this group is selected, fine. If not, some other group will be. But then at least this money is going to go into a purpose that's going to help a subset of the same demographic that we were after. This would be children compared to women, but it's the same Somali group, and it's just my last-ditch effort to save this, focus on this group, which has, as you know, has huge health needs. Pick an area, any area of the Somali group. You just got to circle any subset as a group with challenges, and so I'm happy that, I hope this can go forward.
Senator Hayden?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, Senator Labor. I won't belabor it, but I do think that this is a policy issue that's worthy of a larger discussion, and this may not be the place. We have a lot of work to do, but in someone that has a large Somali population, a growing Somali population, in the district right next to me, it has the highest concentration of Somalis in the state. You know, the randomness of Dakota County would be a question I would ask. The making sure that who are the groups that actually know how to work with this population, what makes them the right group that works with this population. Those are all questions that I really wish we had the opportunity. I understand the nature of this, and I will continue to say that this isn't the first time. We can go all the way back 5 and 6 years. If I brought the Department of Health up, I won't, where we've awarded dollars to this organization that have not been able to draw these dollars down. I am concerned about that. So with that, Madam Chair, I'm not going to be able to support this amendment because I think that we really need to have a healthy discussion on these targeted populations to ensure that the dollars that we give them are going to the right people so that the people can get the care that they deserve.
Thank you, Senator Hayden. Sorry.
Yeah.
Senator Kiffmeyer?
Thank you, Madam Chair.